But they also did announce in the ad, too, that Silver Mario is going to be in stores, too. But Silver Mario is going to be popping up everywhere on the 29th.
From what I've seen online, I was shocked with how available he's going to be. I mean, compared to Gold Mario, this guy is just not going to be as rare.
No, not at all.
So I wouldn't, I guess, stress as much about Silver Mario if you have your heart set on getting him.
So pre-orders for Silver Mario went up at, I think it was Amazon Canada.
Yeah.
And it went up on Amazon Canada before Nintendo even officially released that this thing was coming out. But they ended up on Amazon Canada, I think, for like 3 hours before they sold out.
That's a long
An extended period of time.
That is a very long time. Yeah, considering that a lot of the amiibo last for, 15 seconds?
Yeah, right around there.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that it was still up. I mean, granted, you can't ship from Amazon Canada to the U.S., so I think that's one of the heavy reasons why it was there so long. But I don't think we're going to see, like, the constraint for Silver Mario that we did for Gold. So.
No, definitely not.
But what do you think is up with Nintendo kind of keeping really, really quiet on the subject that Silver Mario is coming? It took, I mean, the thing got leaked in a safety certificate months and months ago. I think this was like 4 or 5 months ago that the first Silver Mario thing came out. I remember where I was when I saw it. And then we saw a prototype of it coming out. And then finally Amazon releases it. And then Nintendo decides like 2 weeks before launch to say this thing's coming. Why do you think they kept quiet so long?
I don't even think this decision was a sales ploy, to be honest. I feel like my opinion of Nintendo I would say my view of Nintendo and how they release their products and the information about their products, I've learned slowly over time that Nintendo waits very close to the release dates for a lot of their merchandise. I respect that. That's fine. I feel like that's what they did with Silver Mario. I don't think that there was any real sales ploy or any big reason why we didn't see any official information until recently.
I have a thought.
What's your thought?
I think it was all about the hype. I think they were driving the hype train 100% of the time. I mean, obviously fans were talking about it, posting pictures anytime that anybody saw, like, any inkling that Silver Mario could be coming. Because people were looking in databases. People were looking, like, in their store's stock room to see if there was any tags for it. And every time somebody found a clue that Silver Mario was coming, it went on the internet. It went on our Amiibo. It went on Amiibo News, for God's sakes. And everybody, flipped their mind about it, saying, oh my God, here's more evidence that Silver Mario is coming. I think that they were trying to drive the demand for Silver Mario up, even though it's not a retail exclusive, even though it's probably not going to be rare. Driving the hype up means people want, they want it. Yeah. The second they went up on pre-order because they went up on pre-order at Newegg, and they were gone in about 15 minutes.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's nuts.
That's crazy. I think that you're very right about that. It makes me actually wonder a little bit more, or think about it further with Nintendo. Nintendo's this business entity. It's a corporation. But in that way, when you spin it that way, it's like Nintendo's this person. We're personifying Nintendo and saying that, hey, Nintendo has this hilarious personality that enjoys watching people struggle to find information about a product.
No, I think it's just like Reggie sitting in like a dark office, like, how can I mess with the Americans today? But either way, I mean, Silver Mario's coming. I don't think it's going to be remarkably difficult to find him. If you get there in line, you should be able to get a Silver Mario, hopefully on release day.
Hopefully.
Don't quote me on that, but I'm hoping.
It's a guess.
We're hoping.
Yes.
But speaking of, rare amiibos, even though I don't think Silver Mario is going to be one, people were losing their minds over Greninja because the pre-orders went up at 3 a.m. Toys R Us held a pre-order event that was, in many cases, by many people, dubbed as not being fantastic.
No, in fact, I would say out of all the amiibo releases, Greninja was probably the one that stuck with me the most, the reactions from everybody.
So people were waiting in line for this thing overnight, not to get the amiibo, but to get a pre-order slip for the amiibo, myself included. I was not overnight, by the way. I used to be that crazy. I'm too darn tired to do that anymore. So either way, I waited for about 3 hours, and I ended up finally getting my... Okay. There's a whole story associated with that. I'm not going to bore you with that again.
He hasn't even bored me with the story yet. I'm a little disappointed that I haven't heard the
full story. I totally told you the story.
He told me tidbits of the story.
I'm just going to tell the story. So I was like number 15 in line. They said originally they only had 10 Greninjas. We got up to the front. They said, oh, it's still working. We can still, take pre-orders. I got my pre-order slip. I was super excited. Everybody behind me got some too. And then the next day I got an email from Toys R Us saying, we have to cancel your pre-order. We don't have enough. We are very sorry.
That's so sad.
So I took that email to my Amiibo news page, and I wasn't meaning to start anything. I just wanted to let people know to keep an eye on their inbox if there was cancellations. It looks like it was an isolated incident, to the Toys R Us that I went to.
Okay.
But the day after I posted the story, I get an email saying, hey, we found some more Greninja. Here you go. So everybody behind me ended up getting their Greninja pre-order reinstated.
It's a miracle.
It's a Christmas miracle, guys. But the fun part about that is everybody thought, well, since it was super limited for pre-orders and the pre-orders online went out like that it would be nearly impossible to find one. But we got a picture yesterday from one random Toys R Us that got 52 Greninja Amiibo in stock.
That's amazing.
They
what
said,
a good number. That's
for sure.
Good number.
They said 20 of those were for pre-orders.
Okay.
Which means 32 Greninjas were left over for people waiting in line.
Wow.
Which is a lot.
That is a lot, and that gives, for me, it gives hope.
Yeah.
A lot of hope.
And from what I understand, this person said they were at a smaller store. So that kind of surprises me.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Because, I know in our area, we have basically one Toys R Us.
Yeah.
So considering that, maybe that means that the small town Toys R Us's are going to be getting
a decent amount.
More than we've been seeing.
So either way, I think we're going to be hopefully in for a good surprise on launch day.
Yeah.
That a lot of people waiting in line that didn't get a pre-order may get one.
That would be amazing. Fingers crossed.
Besides that, we're hearing the same thing again with Jigglypuff, that should be in decent supply. Okay. So I think we're starting to see the retail exclusives be better. But I haven't heard anything yet with GameStop.
No.
Nothing on GameStop yet.
There has been such a quiet kind of hush in that area. But I have a feeling that probably in the near future we're going to be seeing something more, probably something more exclusive. And then, of course, that's when all the news is going to hit for GameStop. It'll happen fast.
And everybody wants their boy Ness. Making Ness an exclusive was a bizarre move by Nintendo.
It was heartbreaking.
I still can't believe that they made Ness an exclusive. We were joking about it, on episode 2, that they were going to make the most popular amiibo an exclusive, and by far they did. Yes. But hopefully we're going to see the same thing with Ness that we are seeing with Greninja and Jigglypuff. Yeah. Hopefully it's not a Pokemon-specific type situation, if you know what I mean.
I do understand, and hopefully not. I'm really hoping that we actually see Ness pop up again in the future. At this point, I feel like it's very possible based on the change of heart that Nintendo's expressed. Yep. So very possible.
So moving away, we gotta stop talking about pre-orders because it's getting me to a point where my eyes almost shaking.
Or are your hands shaking?
I'm actually pretty calm right now, believe it or not.
Yeah.
I'm still just trying to figure out what I'm going to do waiting in line for 3 hours.
You got to write this out. Lists help everything, and it actually set your mind at ease.
I might play Xenoblade 3D.
Okay.
So
there you go. We'll
see how that goes. But we saw one other interesting thing pop up in the Amiibo kind of fan community in the past couple weeks, and that is a influx of prototype Amiibos just kind of pouring into eBay, which is kind of making me doubt if they're real. But more or less, if you're watching this on the video cast, we'll have some nice images for you to look at right above us. But we're seeing these unfinished, they look like they were just molded, like Wave 5 and Wave 6 Amiibos. Just kind of hanging out, no real paint, no stickers or vinyl or decals anywhere on them. Even unannounced Amiibo, like the Mii Sword Fighter.
Yeah.
So he showed up. We had Palutena show up, and then just a wealth of other Amiibos pop up too. But what's your take on this? A lot of people are saying they're real.
Okay.
To me, they're calling them prototypes, but they don't look like prototypes to me. They look like they were discarded. Either they didn't meet a certain criteria, or somebody swiped them off the assembly line before they were completely prepared. But I wouldn't call these things prototypes.
I would definitely not label these prototypes. A lot of the other hobbies that I'm into deal with these prototypes / I guess stolen pieces off the assembly line.
They're hot.
They are. And I always label them as really just I'm trying to think of the best way to put it, but it would probably be unofficial figures, unfinished figures.
Yep.
Really, I wouldn't say that they're official at all, and I would not spend a lot of money on these right now.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not worth it in the long run, and you will never have somebody come out from Nintendo and say, hey, this is an official prototype piece.
Oh, yeah.
So because of that, you don't have that verification.
Not at all.
It's just not worth it in my opinion, unless you have the official go-ahead from the company.
Yep.
And I just can't imagine Nintendo doing that.
So there's two things that kind of throw red flags at me.
Yeah.
Number one, all of these are coming from China, which makes sense because they're produced there.
Yes.
But there's an absolute epic amount of bootleg toys that come out of China. And number two, none of these figures have the NFC chip in it.
Yeah.
Which makes sense to a certain extent, too, if they were stolen from an assembly line, because they more than likely never got to that point in production.
Exactly.
However, the fact that they don't have an NFC chip makes it impossible to verify if these things are real. Believe it or not, people have been counterfeiting things for hundreds of years. There's absolutely nothing to say that these things are real. The Mii Sword Fighter prototype that went up had a starting listing price of $2,000.
That is crazy. You know, I never went to the listing to check the price.
Yeah.
I looked at the photos many times.
Yep.
I like to see them. I like to see what details that they were lacking.
Yeah.
And even though that wouldn't really lead me to anything, I was fascinated with comparing them right next to the official pictures.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't put any real stock into this.
Yeah. If anything, too, I mean, it almost looks like they were just like stolen molds. So
Yeah.
don't spend your hard-earned money on prototypes, guys.